always do personally is I always do a consult form, and I always make sure I reach out to the clients prior to their appointment just to make sure that everything is okay before they get actually on your table. So I'm going to start by prepping the skin. I'll be using a towel wax product. It is a pre-wax lotion, and typically as far as powder, I typically use bird bees. You don't have to use bird bees. When you're getting your wax out of the pot, you always want to scoop it and then twirl versus scraping. The scraping is going to slide it down your stick. You always want it to be on your end. The sliding down the stick is way too high. If it stays consistent and is not completely dropping to the floor, then you know that's a safe temperature for you to put it on your client. The best way to control your wax would be temperature. Always stretch the skin. Me personally, like when I'm doing more intimate waxes such as Brazilians, I never want the client to hold because they came to get a service, so I don't want them doing all the work. I usually stretch the skin for them. Even though some people are nice enough to hold the skin, but me personally, I would rather do it than have them do it. And this is coral wax. This is the towel wax coral wax. This is more of, it's like, to me, it's like a creamy gel. I like this for all over. It works for facial, it works for all body parts, honestly. And you always want to just let the client know that you're pulling the skin down or you're stretching them and different things like that. And I always apply pressure at the end. So this came up pretty clean. Me personally, I always do cleanup strips, because if you don't do a cleanup strip, you can be leaving hair behind. Even if you don't visibly see the hair, there's more than likely hair there. So always, rule of thumb, please do a cleanup strip. And doing a cleanup strip, you will go in the reverse direction that you already applied the wax in. Okay. And even if, as I mentioned about the temperature, being able to, is not sliding down the stick, but you still want to ask your client, is the temperature okay? Because sometimes, I've had in my experience, sometimes people come from the gym or they drink coffee, so their body temperature can be a little bit elevated, and even though you may feel the temperature is okay, you always want to make sure your client is comfortable. And with this, it's good. I would say it's good for speed waxing. You don't have to wait a long time for it to set, and then you can just pull it up without it being tacky or gummy. And even if you're not overly talkative in your treatment room, you know, talking about other topics, you always want to ask your client, are they okay? Is their skin feel okay? If you use anything new on them, is it bothering them? So on and so forth. And another reason why I use bird bees, it says talc free on there, so people love it, trust me. Trust me. So depend on the person, the way their underarm is shaped, that's the way you need to apply your first strip for me. That's always a rule of thumb. There is not going to be you have to go by your client. And even if the hair is in one specific section, I always go on either sides of it just to make sure you're getting everywhere. Because even though I don't visibly see hair here, I still want to get that. Just because she came for an underarm service, we might as well get it all up. With this wax, if it feels sticky, it's not ready. I wouldn't pull it yet because you want to hurt her and you don't want the hairs to break. And this is me going in a reverse direction than I previously did. And you have to keep in mind, when you have your own space, your own salon, you are using the highest level of sanitation. You are not double dipping, so you cannot charge the $5 or $7 or whatever have you. You are given a personalized service.